It's the knowledge as a coach and as a trainer that matters. You got to, you know, when JM first came out too, I think he had 250 followers, and they're still not big. If you can look at what he has, it's still not big. So it's just,
and there's a wealth of knowledge there too.
Yeah.
So what's your?
But I think some of that were like, and I'd like to talk about the 14-day thing at some point too. I think there's like I've always looked at it like, if I want to play football, I'm going to go find the best football player ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so even if I want to get strong for quality of life, say I'm 70 years old, like I'm still going to go to like the strongest guys I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes that doesn't get looked at as much as it could.
Now, go a little deeper in what you mean by go to. You're going to go visit and talk to them, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, like somebody will go, oh, I'm going to go, I need to get in shape and go to 24 Hour Fitness.
Yes.
And get some trainer that doesn't know shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, the point
and you'll still make some gains, but like you could go to somebody who actually has some knowledge.
Yes.
Who's, I mean, I train everybody right now from like 8 to 80.
Mm-hmm.
And I can take an 80-year-old and all this knowledge that I learned working in physical therapy back in the day, and then through my strength, like I can help him with this.
Mm-hmm.
I got a guy right now whose shoulders were just absolutely destroyed, and now he can actually do some stuff. He can actually move and like enjoy some of his retirement years. I got another client who's in his 50s and he competes master strongman. Like when I first got him, he couldn't bench like 135 and he was in excruciating pain.
Mm-hmm.
Now he can bench 225 easy for reps with no pain.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that through all my strength stuff, you know, like where he'd go to 24 Hour Fitness and they'd be like, or whatever name, I don't know if I throw out names, but you know, they're going to be like, oh, well, if it hurts, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, fix the shit so he gets better and he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was shit I learned in powerlifting, like with strength.
We do it long enough, you're going to end up seeing physical therapists. You're going to end up seeing a lot of different things. You figure out what works, what doesn't work, you know, and then kind of go from there.
And the idea that the experience helps you modify the things that they do in a way that they can still train. They can still
say
bench.
you got Joe Blow at the gym who's like, dude, I just want to bench 315 for 5 reps. I'm like, oh yeah, that's easy enough.
Right.
But I can actually get him there and get him there way faster and way safer than a lot of these other these trainers that get trained by Globo Gym and stuff.
Yeah, and that seems to be one of the...
I mean, I could find a handyman to build my house.
Well, right.
I'd rather go to an actual carpenter that knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, part of what we were talking about last night, we kind of play into this, and I think the listeners will understand it a little bit better, because there's a divide between, you know, the ones of us that are 50 years old and say 25 years old. Some of it is just terminology, right? So we hear online coach like, fuck that, you can't do that. That's bullshit. It's impossible to zip. All right, because we know what a real coach is, because that's what we grew up around that. But there's a gap, because now it's kind of defined a little bit differently. So when I'm speaking to him last night, it's like this online coach, and you can see he's like rolling his eyes like this is, I'm like, yeah, dude, let's just redefine this for a minute. Online coaching, just forget about that name. What you're actually doing is you're either programming or consulting. You're not coaching. See, that's what I would tell him. What I would tell you, because your definition is going to be more of the coaching, because that's what you grew up seeing, the online coaching. You know, that was part of that we didn't have that.
Right.
So that's their mental definition of that, because they've seen it since they were teenagers. Online coaches are a thing. We can't sit there and say, no, it's not a thing, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That would be like going back to us and saying, going to somebody's gym and working with a powerlifting guru like Louie, who we wouldn't even call a coach. You know, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because that's not a real coach. The real coach is on the field with a whistle.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So we had to define what we thought is a coach as being like a Louie. Where at that time I was fighting with the strength coaches, like, no, those aren't coaches. The real coach is in the weight room on rubber and turf with a whistle. You know, it's like a strength coach, a university, high school strength coach. That's a strength coach, not Louie. Remember that? If we go way back, right? So we had to reframe how all that's happening now is the same thing. It's just an evolving of that definition. But to have conversations with you about what's going on, I can't use that because of how ingrained it's become in your brain. Say, okay, let's talk consulting, let's talk programming. And you're like, oh, I get that.
Yeah. No, I did. Like, you completely changed my perception just by defining the word.
Yes.
Because it was like, yeah, I hear coach, and I'm like, there's no way you can't, because you can't touch him, you can't put him in position, you're not seeing everything from. I mean, I walk around guys when they're squatting, so I can see the different angles.
Yes. See, that's
Like,
how you define that coach.
Do that online. Yeah.
That's how you define that coach. You define the other things differently. So if I'm talking to somebody that's 25, then I'm going to be saying the online coaching, and they're going to think that involves programming. But to us, that's not really programming, because they're working more in short-term programming. Yeah. I call it forward first. So here's this week, we're going to do this week, we're going to do this week, which business-wise makes sense, because you're not going to write a fucking year program for somebody that might sign up for a month and never come back. Right. So to us, it's like, the fuck, how can you do it? So you got to, it's tough, and that was part of what we were talking about last night, because you got to pay attention to the people that are younger to you. You're going to fuck up, and you're going to say some shit you shouldn't say when they first start saying stuff, right? Because you're like, fuck that online stuff. And then you're like, okay. But then you got home and think about it. How old are they? What did they see when they were growing up? What were they seeing when they were 15? Keep in mind, you came on in 2005. That's 16 years ago. So somebody that just got their license this year wasn't even born yet when you had a training.
That's not even about having a following. I got lost. Like, these people, they're like, who is that guy? That guy's old.
Well, you see what I'm saying, though, right? Now you keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, you were in the WPO when they were in diapers. So then you're asking, I can't believe you don't have any followers. Like, the kids were in diapers when he was lifting the biggest weights. You know, that would be like going back to us when we were coming up and saying, hey, man, you should look towards, you know, Larry Pacifico. And we kind of did, but we really, it's like, okay, I respect what he did. It was strong as fuck. I'll look a little bit at what he did, but who's doing this now?
Right.
What's Andy doing? You get what I'm saying? What are they doing?
Well, it's different too, because even like, you can still find, there's still, if you punch my name into YouTube, there's still a bunch of lifting videos. But like Larry Pacifico, they didn't even have that. Like, try to find a video of him. Like, you might have somebody videotape their TV VHS and then put it on YouTube. But I mean, there's not that many videos of that stuff or anything. And now lifters, they post everything. So there's going to be that record that's more accessible to future lifters.
Here's something to think about.
If they do go back and look at that.
Here's something to think about, which I don't think any of us have the answers to. All the lifting information that you were going to learn, say, in the 70s and the 80s, that was magazines, right? There's really nothing else. But then it was all kind of text-based online, which kind of ran the magazines out. And now it's the video base. So the magazines are pretty much dead. I mean, they're still kind of hanging on by a thread. The text-based content online it's doing okay, but it's nowhere near what it used to be. The video content is doing very well. 30 years from now, the YouTube content is going to be what the magazines are. So I can't say what's going to be next.
What's next?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what nobody knows.
VR.
But if you're
VR.
Yes, but if you're in media and you're marketing or whatever it is, you need to always be looking at what's going on, what's popular now, how can you leverage that, but then what could be the next thing,
right? Because
it comes faster than you think it does. You know, a decade and changes everything.
Well, that's, you go, if you like, so I started in 05, so basically 15 years ago. When did I do my first seminar in 99 or 2000? No,
you're going back, because I didn't even have it off. I was out of my house.
But even back then, you know, we were just, I might still have my West Side VHS tapes. I know I have like Eddie Cohen's VHS tape and stuff. Yeah,
the West Side. The old West Side ones,
Yeah, and that's what we had. Like, that was a big deal. Like, dude, you got the tapes. Like, everybody in the gym wanted to borrow your tapes. And
then they wouldn't fucking rewind them.
Yeah, fuckers.
And that's losers. Only, I mean, that's really only, God, I forgot about that. I'm so used to DVDs now. You just hit play.
You know, DVDs are done too, by the way. Just let you know, Blockbuster went out of business
I'm out
years
of it.
ago.
I'm so out of it.
He lives in the town that has a Blockbuster.